Chairman, thank you so much for joining us.
Bet. Good to be with you.
This is a big plate that the DOJ is receiving from both your colleagues over at the Oversight Committee and your committee, getting both of these cases and saying, hey, you got to look into this. What do you think happens next time-wise?
Well, first of all, with John Brennan, our committee, we don't do many of these referrals. I mean, the facts have to be there and clearly demonstrate that you know, they violated the law. So we did this for Brennan because, Chanel, you're not supposed to lie, but you're definitely not supposed to lie when you're under oath talking to Congress. And that's exactly what it looks like John Brennan did, because he told us in a deposition last Congress that he wasn't involved with the dossier, the CIA wasn't, and they didn't want it included in any way in the intelligence community assessment that was done back in 2016. Right. Well, that's all fine and good, but ODNI Director Tulsi Gabbard declassified a report from the House Intelligence Committee from several years ago that says just the opposite. In fact, she relates in that declassified document, declassified report, she relates that there was a CIA official who came up to Mr. Brennan at this time and said, hey, the dossier doesn't stand up. There's no real underlying intelligence to support the claims made in that ridiculous document. But Brennan's response was, yeah, but doesn't it ring true? And they included it in the assessment because John Brennan was out to get the president. He wanted it in there. This clearly shows motive to get the president. And this idea that he thought, as the clip you just played, that there was some conspiracy going on when in fact there wasn't. So we referred him. Like I said, we don't do this often. We also included in that letter, Chanel, an earlier example where then Congressman Gowdy, Trey was questioning John Brennan in a hearing several years ago, and we think he lied in that hearing too. Now that's outside the statute of limitations, but we included it in to show a pattern. Right. And then finally, I would say this. The irony is we were deposing Brennan related to another investigation. The 51 former intel officials who signed that letter running in the run-up to the 2020 election that said the Hunter Biden laptop was a Russian information operation, when in fact the FBI had the laptop and knew it wasn't. So there's a pattern of Mr. Brennan, I think, not being square with Congress and not being square with the American people, and that's why we referred him to the Attorney General.
To what extent is the current CIA going to play a role either in helping with the investigation or cooperating here? Do they matter at this moment?
Well, I think it's largely up to the Justice Department. We'll see what the Attorney General wants to do, what Deputy Attorney General Blanche, what they want to do with Mr. Brennan. I think it's clear. He said one thing to us under oath in a deposition last Congress relative to the dossier. He said something different, as evidenced by the declassified report that ODNI Director Gabbard released. We'll see. I don't know if Mr. Ratcliffe and the CIA will weigh in any way, but I do know that that I think is clear. And then, of course, there's the broader question, was this a conspiracy? John Brennan used the term conspiracy, but I'm interested, was there a conspiracy between Comey and Clapper and Brennan and all these people to go after President Trump? And it started, of course, 9 years ago in 2016 after the election, frankly, even before that, when they spied on his campaign. So I want to know if there was a conspiracy to undermine and sabotage the first term of President Trump back in 2016, 2017. We'll have to see if they're looking at that as well.
That's a great point about the conspiracy potential here, because at this point, if the DOJ is just looking into John Brennan, the jurisdictions over which some of this may be pursued is quite limited. But if we end up talking about a conspiracy, then we're bringing in other people, and all of a sudden you may be able to expand the jurisdiction of where this ultimately could be tried.
Yeah, but remember at this time frame, again, we go back to when it all began. They were changing the intelligence community assessment in December of 2016. President Trump gets elected. So between Election Day and Inauguration Day, they changed the assessment. And there's a meeting where they're all at the White House, and President Obama says, no, I want a new assessment done. And they changed the report. And this is where Clapper and Brennan, they're all involved in that intelligence community assessment, that report they then put together, that new one. This is where the dossier is used. Brennan said he had no part with the dossier, but in fact, he actually wanted it included in that new report. And that's the contradiction here. So that's where it all began. And they were all in that meeting at the White House. You had McCabe, you had Clapper, you had Brennan, you had all the key players. You had the president, the vice, you had all these key players, Loretta Lynch, the attorney general, all there as they put this together. And I think it was an effort to undermine and sabotage President Trump's first term and to create a predicate for the special counsel Mueller, and the 2 years that that all took, and all the hassle that was to the Trump campaign based on this entire hoax.
Chairman, I want your thoughts on not your committee, but a neighboring committee, the Oversight Committee, announcing earlier today that they recommend the Autopen executive orders by Joe Biden to be rendered null and void. That is quite the headline.
No, that's pretty big, because remember, right there at the end, there was a number of key pardons and actions that the president took. Now, the president, former President Biden, has said there was a process in place and they all followed the process. But what's interesting, as Chairman Comer and his team have put together in their report, that when they brought some of these people in, they wouldn't answer the questions. They exercised their Fifth Amendment liberties. And it sounds like there really wasn't a process. At least if there was all kinds of different ways that they all went about deciding it was okay to have the Autopen sign certain things. So I do think there's something that warrants the Justice Department looking into it, and that's why Chairman Comer and his team have suggested that happen. And we'll just see what the Justice Department does with this issue as well.
Do you have confidence that all of this will be able to actually be pursued by the current DOJ, given what's on their plate? I mean, I referred to a lot of things earlier in terms of what is on Attorney General Bondi's plate, and in terms of having to categorize the order of business. It seems like there's going to be a lot of demands from all directions directing the DOJ's attention here and there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're a good team over there. I always say it's night and day. The Bondi, Blanche, Justice Department, and of course the Kash Patel running the FBI is night and day compared to what we had under Garland and under Chris Wray. So we appreciate the good work they're doing. They got a lot of work to do, but they're more than capable of handling the workload. And of course, we've got the indictment of Comey and Bolton and actions they've taken there. Of course, we did the referral. We'll see what they do with Mr. Brennan. We'll see how they handle the report coming from Chairman Comer. But we have just found that it's been so much different to work with this Justice Department. And when we need information, when we send a subpoena, we actually get a response back, unlike what we experienced under the previous administration. So they're good people, and I think they're doing good work. We'll see how this all shakes out as we move forward.
Chairman Jordan, thank you so much for the time, the information. What a fascinating time to be collecting all this stuff, and amidst the shutdown, no less. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you.